So this is called Kwa squatting. This is a very unique way of squatting coming from Tai Chi and Kung Fu. It's different to Western style squatting, which I'll also be teaching, because I want you better to make both the distinctions, make your body better, make both the ways of moving, so they both have their merits. So how we do this, we'll start off first of all with priming the glutes first. So your feet shoulder width, and they're not totally straight, they're a little bit open, about 10 degrees. We want the feet to have a bit of a twisting sensation. If I let them move, it's like they want to do that. So I've got this torque going this way through my feet, as if the little toes wrapping around the heel. So that's there. We're looking about 2 to 10% strength. There's not much, but there's something there. So we've got that twist. Then I squeeze my butt as hard as I can. I squeeze like I'm trying to crack a walnut for about 10 seconds, keeping that little bit of a twist there too. Then I let it off, so let it totally relax. Then use this part of your thumb here, so whack into the muscles of your glutes. So the center of the buttock, top of the glutes, slap. So when I finish slap, I actually feel where I just slapped myself, where I just touched myself, because there's information going to the brain through a few different pathways, and the brain's going, oh, here is where we want to feel. So we're going to do this again, a little bit of a twist out, squeeze the butt, and you may find that you can squeeze your butt a bit harder than you just could, because there's more muscle fibers being part of the picture now. They're contracting more, so the nervous system's able to wire it up more. So we squeeze for 10 seconds, and we'll do one more, but slap again. Any muscle you ever find hard to contract, hard to use, do some of this sensory stimulation here on that muscle, and you'll find it'll connect a lot better. So we're twisting the feet again, last squeeze. So I'm going to do 3 of these contractions now, but at home you do 5 to 10, really get fire. And this makes my glutes quite sore the next day, just getting this happening. And it's one of the tests that if you just feel your glutes can't contract when you do this, it means that you're really quad dominant, really hip flexor dominant. So when I'm contracting here, my body's staying straight here. I'm not doing this, just staying straight through the whole spine and legs. Okay, so the glutes are fired up more, so the body will preferentially use the glutes rather than the quads and the hip flexors here. And I'm going to face you from the start here. So your feet about shoulder width and a little bit turned out, about that 10 degrees. And what we want is that as soon as your knees start to bend, your hips bend as well. So knee and hip bend this way. You're just doing little motions to start with. So it's like you're parking your backside on a chair. You're about to sit down. So what we want here is that the hip and the knee move together. What that looks like is, as much as my knee moves forward, my pelvis moves backwards this way. So there's this relationship here. If I don't have that relationship, the knee goes forward and the pelvis goes straight down. This overloads my knee like crazy. This is not a good movement pattern. And if I don't let my knees go forward and just move from my buttock, it's a hip hinge, but for what we want to do, it's not that useful. It's just useful for teaching you how to move in your hip. That's all. So the knee and hip bend together. Your arms just relax by your sides, and you're not holding your spine, your shoulder blades back. So we actually let them just fall forward, like you're I'm done at the end of a day. That kind of position. Then we bend the knees, bend the hips, letting the arms just slide down the front of the legs, and we're really loose in the arms here. So when I come up, I don't lock out my knees or my hips. There's still a bit of a bend there. And the head stays in line with your spine. So I'm not, as I go down, doing this with my head. There's just this alignment there still. So I'm looking a couple of meters in front of me here. So the next couple of points, your knee stays in line with your big toe the whole time. Okay, so it's in line with the big toe here. If I turn it in, my knee's in line with the boards here. This here, it even looks like a bad position. A lot of people actually walk like this to some degree. So we want to open the knee in line with the big toe. It's called joint stacking. So my hips are over my knees are over my feet. This allows the force to go through properly. So as you're doing this, your knees are just staying over your toes, in line with your toes, like a machine. Not making any kind of wobble, especially at the bottom, doesn't do this, or one knee come in. So this is a motor control thing here. It's like, can your brain do that? It's usually not to do with glute weakness when that comes in, it's just a control thing. Okay, next point, really important point, is the tripod, which I've mentioned before. So you want your pressure in your feet to stay in the middle of the heel, the knuckle of the big toe and the knuckle of the little toe. So that tripod always has weight. All 3 points have the weight. So if I go down and I lose pressure in this point here, it'll lose that. It may look like it does that and the knee comes in, that's why it comes off the ground. Or it may just be I've lost pressure there. I've got pressure here and in my heel, but not in my foot. So I keep the pressure there. If the knee comes out too much, this starts to peel off, or I lose pressure. And if I go down too low for my level, for how open I am here, the heel lifts up. We definitely don't want that. Or we just lose pressure in the heel. I feel the weight go into the ball of the foot mainly, but the heel hasn't even lifted. So it's the look of the foot plus also the pressure going into it. Super important to protect your knees big time. So let's do a few more. So the hip and knees bend together, exactly together, not one and the other. Knees staying in line with your big toe, and the tripod has the weight there all the time. So it'll be the limit of how far you can go down is how much you can control these things. Just forcing depth of the movement for the sake of just depth is totally missing the point and asking for problems later. So the next point, we want to keep your toes relaxed and the tendons here. See how the tendons pop up? I hope that comes out on the camera. Tendons, or if you do this with your hand, you feel the tendons pop up here. We don't want this sort of look of the tendons sticking out. So as I'm moving, my toes stay relaxed and here stays relaxed. If my toes lift, the tendons pop up. It's just showing that the body's using the wrong muscles for this, that it can't relax, it can't release the foot to do a squat. Or the ankle's too active here, if that has to be constantly on, that tendon sticking up. So I'm soft, I'm passive, I'm solid in my feet, just having the pressure in the right spot. So we should work on that now. I'm probably going a little bit too fast here as I do this speed here. And the next really important point, this is what makes this movement different to other forms of squatting. I aim to relax here as much as I can. Relax my legs, relax my hamstrings, relax my buttocks, relax my knees, shins, feet. So it's totally soft. And of course, some muscles have to be used to do this, but we're learning to use less force in those muscles. So this is relaxation within Tai Chi. It's actually deliberately relaxing the body to get more range, more movement. And it's a technique called lengthening as well that comes from relaxation. So I'll show what I mean here. So maybe I get to here and I go, I can't go further because I feel too tight in my knee. Okay, so I'll relax my knee. Oh, it wants to let me sink more. I feel tight here. Oh, I'll relax there, it lets me sink more. I feel tight here. I relax there, let me sink. I feel tight through here. I relax there. So the relaxation where it feels tight, you relax it. Doesn't mean you go down further instantly, but you're aiming to soften that muscle through these reps, and you'll find that it actually gives you more space. It lengthens the fascia. It knocks out excessive muscle contraction where it's not letting the body move the way it needs to move or wants to move. And it's making a connection of the fascia throughout the whole body. So for some people, just the feet can't relax. Relax the feet, all of a sudden the whole body's more flexible because of the fascial connections throughout the whole body going through the feet. So that's the big one. We practice not having excessive strength to do this, because I can just lock up my pelvis, I can just lock my muscles on and just go down. That's fine. That's not the skill of this. It's can I go down with relaxation. That's why the arms are loose here. And the lower back, it's okay to, we're not like this. We definitely don't want to be in this position. This here is a hip flex dominant pattern. So the back's got this central axis through it. It can even have a sense, for making it more obvious, of being rounded like this at the bottom. Okay, it's okay for this one. You just don't lift anything when you're in this position. That's a way of releasing the spine and making energy go down the front of the body into the ground. And that's one of the biggest differences why the Western squat is different to this. And as the final point here, so you practice till your legs are fried. Usually 20 to 50 reps is good to start with. Start off with 20, build up to 50. That's about 5 minutes worth of work. What you find after a while is that it feels like the legs, there's no muscles being used anymore. It feels just like the skin is moving, that your legs like a hydraulic pump. And a weird feeling is like, feels like my pelvis, or in martial arts, the dantian here, is directly connected to the ground. It's like there's just a pump, it just wants to connect. And we use this feeling for the jumping part of the training that we do with this. Good luck with your practice.